I started pursuing music. I guess the first instrument I ever picked up was actually the button accordion. I think I was 13 years old. To this day, I don't exactly know why I chose that instrument. But anyway, that was my first instrument. I played in a Celtic band for 7 years after learning to play accordion. While I was playing the accordion, I also had this love for writing, but I never put the two together. I never put music and writing together until way later in life, and I realized, because I wanted to write these fantasy novels, right? And I realized it takes much less time to write a song than it does to write a book. And so I started writing songs, and most of those songs were done on the piano. You're a habit, oh, 'cause the feeling that I get when 5 years ago was when I made the big move to Nashville, and at that point in my life, I'd been working in a warehouse, and I remember I used to ship these packages out, and I would write song lyrics on the back of invoices, and my cell phone was full of just voice memos of ideas, and it was like my body was in one place, but my heart and my head were in a completely different place. I was just dreaming of being an artist, being a writer, and I remember after 7 years of working in this warehouse, I was moving up in the ranks of the business. I was looking at possibly becoming the GM. The owner wanted me to become the GM of the company. And I could see my life going down that road, but I was at the same time I was afraid that I was going to let a dream die. And so I remember this vividly. It was a Friday night. I drove home from work. I parked my car. I'm sitting in my car just thinking about my life, kind of feeling like I'm at a crossroads. And I said a prayer, and I asked God to give me a sign on what to do with the next chapter of my life. And literally the following Monday, I'm at work after saying this prayer, and a trucker had arrived to pick up a pallet shipment. And while the pallet shipment was being prepared, his trucker starts to talk to me. And he was one of the most happy, optimistic truckers I'd ever met. There was just something special about him. He just had a lot of light. And he started asking me questions about the business. He wanted to know how it had started. And I told him that the owner had taken a chance on a product and it had become a great success. And he looked at me and he just said, "Man, I love those kind of stories." He said, "That guy had a dream and he took a chance on it, and look at where it's gotten him." And he added to that. He said, "There's so many people in this world today who have dreams, who never take chances on them." He said, "It's just a fear of the unknown." And he said, "I was one of those people." He said, "When I was younger, I had a dream, but I never took a chance on it. And now I'm just a truck driver." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, what was your dream?" And he said, "I always wanted to be a singer-songwriter." And I think at that moment it struck me that that was the answer to my prayer, that I was supposed to do music, that if I didn't do music, I would be telling the same story he was telling me to someone just like me, somewhere years down the road. And if that wasn't enough of a motivation to get me going, shortly after I had that encounter with the truck driver, my best friend, Ezra Briggs, who I started playing music with when we were very young, we started at the same time, had a dream of becoming a band. He passed away in a car crash. And it was the combination of that trucker's testimony and my best friend passing away that just pushed me out the door and set me on this journey. And now here I am in Nashville, chasing a dream. I guess I'm a little different than most people. I've lived in a bus. I've lived in a tent. I have two names. I actually had a name change when I was 8 years old because I grew up in a commune that did name changes. And this community was basically, the way I would describe it, it was kind of like Amish meets hippie. It had some of the traditions of an Amish community, but it was a little more vibrant color-wise, as far as the outfits people wore. And over time, this community kind of evolved and became more like the rest of the American suburbs and neighborhoods. Basically, that's what it turned into, is kind of a neighborhood where everybody cared about each other. And like anyone else, your childhood greatly affects your whole life. And so how I was raised is definitely, you can hear it in my music. And, hopefully I carry a good message from my childhood. Like anybody else, I may not agree with everything, but I certainly took a lot of good from it. I had a name change when I was probably 8 years old. My name, like I said, was changed to Joaquin. My legal name is Josh, and a lot of people call me Josh to this day. But I felt like Yukeen, the name kind of tells my story because I had such an unusual upbringing growing up in this community. And so that was why I chose to use that as my artist name, Yukeen. And it comes from, it's actually a Hebrew word. You can find it in the Bible. Yukeen was one of the pillars in Solomon's temple. There were two pillars, one was called Boaz, one was called Yukeen. And Yukeen means he will establish, and Boaz means strength. And the Greek spelling is with a J. It's actually Jakin. But as a kid, I had a fascination with Y's, and like the Hebrews like to use Y's. And so I changed the spelling. When I was 8 years old, I wanted it to be spelled Yakyn, so that I could later confuse everybody when they tried to pronounce it on Spotify.
Give your own to breathe, so would you let me let you go? Would you let me
People are always asking me what genre of music I am as an artist. Where do I sit? And that's a really hard question to answer because I feel like I'm always exploring other genres. Like I like to write almost more than anything else. And so I'll hear something from another genre, I'll be like, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. And so I feel like my music is kind of, in a lot of ways, all over the map. But the one theme I would say that I hope is found in whatever style of music I'm writing is vulnerability and honesty. Some of the people that have heard my music have made those comments about it, is that they feel like it's real. I like to, one of a popular song of mine is, I wrote a song about going to church. It's called I Don't Go to Church Anymore. I guess it's about not going to church. I had a very religious upbringing, and so I wrote that song. I have a song called New Religion that kind of talks about the same thing. I have a song that's an apology letter I wrote to myself. I just try to write songs that are personal to me, that are real, that are vulnerable, and because I feel like that's the best way to communicate with people. And when I'm playing my music, my hope is to be actually communicating with my audience in a way that allows them to feel like they can be vulnerable and they can talk about those problems, because we live in a world where everybody is putting up walls. And I found that if I take my wall down, I can inspire someone else to take theirs down, and we can have a real conversation. So my upcoming single, Robot, actually tells my sister's story. A few years ago, she fell into a deep depression, and a big cause of that depression was the medication she was on for the depression. And just watching someone you love, someone who's so caring and so giving, fall deeper and deeper into this catatonic state was a lot like watching a human become a robot. I ended up sitting down and writing the song. And the crazy thing about it is I had no idea how many people have the same story. When I play the song out, I'm just overwhelmed at the amount of people I've had come up to me and just say, in tears a lot of times, and tell me about a loved one who's going through depression, or maybe they went through a depression, and just I didn't realize how many people struggle with these very things and how much this song would resonate with people. And so I'm really excited for this release, and I hope that it can shed some light on the topic of mental illness and the treatments for mental illness, and just give people hope and inspire them.